All right. So in this session of medicinal herbs or medicinal herbology, we're going to be going over a number of herbs and their preparations and those types of things. So those really reinforced. And so one of the things that I want to share for those people who are familiar with things like a wine tasting, okay, or if you have not been to a wine tasting, it kind of goes like this, okay. It's not swigging it like you might have done in high school. Okay. It's more of an experience. Why? Different wines um, have their various qualities. You have sweet wines, and you have dry and semi-dry, and you have your Pinot Grigios and all these different types of wines, and people have their preferences as well. Okay. Okay. Now, and so in wine tasting, and when people really get familiar with wines and how to taste wine, there are a few things they go through. One is, for example, taking the glass and pouring the wine in and swirling it around, allowing the wine to breathe, getting the what was called the nose. So what is it? What is the scent? What does it smell like? So how are we perceiving it through our senses? So the smell, the taste, the primary taste, the secondary taste, the various aspects of the wine come through so that people can distinguish things and experience things that you can't experience through just seeing it. Okay. A dry wine is different than sweet, semi-sweet, and wines come from different places, right? It may come from Australia, South Africa, Michigan, France, California, Italy. It may come from any number of places around the world. And because of the soil conditions, because of the sun, because of the blends of the wine, you'll experience it differently, so some wineries specialize in certain types of wines, certain combinations they may put it in certain containers that gives this very aspect. So just as our wines or alcohols or liqueurs and aperitifs and all these things have their various aspects, and just as foods do as well. You have foods that taste different. Okay, then you experience a variety of herbs. So one, I want you um, to get some of these herbs. Now, all in all, between the two classes, we're going to cover up to perhaps or close to 50 or so herbs. Now, do you have to get all of them? No. Do you need to get more than a few? Yeah. Okay. One, because you're not one, because they're practical in their usage. Two, you need to experience them. Three, some things you don't know when you're going to need them. So there are herbs that you'll need to have and you'll want to have in your herbal medicine chest. Okay. And with that, that means that if you have herbs that you would prepare in your foods, that you would also have available, readily available in times of need. Okay. If there was a cut or a wound, is there an herb that you would have that would be able to address that pretty quickly? Or a burn, whether that be a sunburn or a burn from, preparing food, cooking or something. Okay. Are there herbs that would be helpful for a respiratory challenge that someone might have, or digestive upset, and you want to quell or address that without having to get up and, perhaps even in the middle of the night or at an inconvenient time, or at a gathering where you got to go and you say, oh, I've got to go to what are you going to do? Go to a health food store or go to a grocery store, something that will have these types of things. So there's some things you want to have on hand at all times in case of emergency, in case of urgency, in case of you have a need then. Okay. And then there are some other things uh, that you may use or have on a regular basis if that's a challenge that you have. Some people have respiratory, challenges. Some people have skin conditions, or someone in your family, someone close by, has would have a particular need. There are other herbs that you would want to have around, which are going to be natural antibiotics, disinfectants, things that'll be functional and helpful around the home that would be convenient that you could make quickly and inexpensively. Okay, you'd want to have those conveniently at hand as well. Okay, so the more you get familiar with the herbs, and ideally, you'll be using herbs at least a few times a week. Okay, different herbs, different tastes, different combinations, preparing them different ways until you're familiar with that. They say that it takes about 10,000 hours of study for a person to master something. Okay, and that may sound like a lot, but really, if people were to apply something, devote themselves to about 15 minutes a day, just about 15, 20 minutes a day. It doesn't have to be hours and hours, but consistency and over time will give you a lot of experience with this as well. And then you'll say, oh, this is my favorite tea. This is my favorite tea in the morning. Okay, this wakes me up. This stimulates me. This is a good, this combination formula here is a good coffee substitute. Okay, this is something that that relaxes me at night. Okay, this is something that will clear out my the congestion that you may wake up with in the morning. These are things you use for colds and flus, etc. Okay, all right. So one, don't just listen to what I share in regards to the herbs. Take note of those. What can you use for yourself, for your loved ones? What can you use? What might you even use around the home? Two, get in the habit of using them. I've given you at least a couple of sources, like that you can get medicinal herbs from that are going to be good quality. If you have a chronic condition or situation, you want to have enough on hand that you can utilize it consistently. Drinking it one or two times is not going to do the trick with most herbs. You need to take it for a period of time. Someone asked, recently about the dosage. I'll share more information about the dosage, but in sharing the various herbs, there are recommendations depending on condition, the preparation methods, as well as the amount and how many times a day. 1, 2, 3, 4 times a day, which we call, once a day, or BID 2 times a day, TID 3 times a day, or QID 4 times a day. So you get accustomed to doing these and using these. Then you also have your own testimonial. Some of the most powerful sharing that you can do is your personal experience. But because you're not going to experience everything, and you definitely don't want to experience everything. You don't want to have to get all these ailments in order to say and say, okay, well, I had this ailment and I use this, that, and other thing. I've heard some people, online who I would think, I couldn't swear to it, but I would think they're making some stuff up to make it sound, well, I had, all these things, I get skeptical when I hear a very young person say they had some really debilitating ailment that, or chronic ailment that it normally takes 30, 40 years for a person to get. That's really uncommon. But again, you don't have to experience everything. have your own personal testimony, try the herbs, try the formulas, try the recommendations and the dosages for yourself. Be consistent with that, and even and do some writing about it. I write every day, really. I write about what I experienced during the day. With this, you can write about how you felt at a particular time when you started taking, let's say, an herb, and the results that you got over time using it, over a week or two or a month or so of using these particular herbs, these formulas. Okay, pay special attention to the formulas as well. You know, there's a blood cleansing formula, there's a coffee substitute formula, there are some other things in there that would be helpful that you could very well share with other people. And then keep your ears open for what people are speaking about as well. Now, I caution people against intervening where they haven't not been asked, but if someone's mentioned something and you say, I tried something or I recently heard about X, thing. Are you interested in hearing more about something this natural that may be helpful for you? And when they say yes, then you say, okay, let me share this with you. And that could be a sharing with that one person. That could be sharing with people through social media that you would never know were interested. And then when they start saying, hey, give me more, give me more, give me more, share more, then you do that. Okay. I also temper that with the understanding that herbs are not just in the medicinal application of herbs is not just to replace a drug. Okay. As a holistic concept, we're talking about food, we're talking about exercise, we're talking about what other things that people can do to have a healthier lifestyle. Because if you just substitute an herb for a drug and don't change anything else, you may not get the results that you're looking for, short term or long term. Okay. So once you make some changes, now go and sin no more. So don't expect that if you're going to do somebody's going to do a detox and get off drugs, or a detox for drugs or something, and they continue to use the drugs or the smoking or whatever it is. Okay, so it's a holistic concept, means we're doing more than one thing. There's a protocol that is involved that is more encompassing of diet, exercise, getting rest, some other things like that. All right. Okay. So again, we'll be going over some the herbs and preparations, and there's at least 8 herbs that we'll be going over. Again, their botanical names, applications, the categories they're in. Where you have questions about the categories, what certain things mean, because there's a number of medical terms or a number of herbal terms, then I want you to ask. Okay. So when we have a break or take a pause or by the end of the session, I want you to ask so you have clarity on that. Learning comes through repetition, hearing and hearing again, and of course, applying as well. All right. So, and then I will be, again, as the weather turns, I'll be announcing the herb walk or the herbal nature experience, where we'll go out to Belle Isle and see the herbs that are there. So instead of just seeing weeds or seeing the island as you've seen it before, you'll see the herb, you'll be able to identify some herbs, some of the herbs that we've covered in class, as well as some other herbs in their natural state. We'll also address collection. Now, at a state park and some of these places, you do not collect like you might in other environments. Okay. So we'll talk about the safe collection, of the herbs and some things you want to be on lookout for so that you don't experience nature or these herbs the same way ever again. So it's no longer a weed. It's an herb that you can give a name to, that has a function, that has a purpose, that has preparation method or more. Red clover will be in abundance, and the dandelion, some other things. So some of those things you'll be able to identify easily, and then other things it'll take more time. Okay. So a question that I have. Is it more preparation methods, categories, or any particular herbs for conditions that you're most interested in? Are there some gaps in what's been shared? Andrea, look, I
But
think she.
I need one.
Okay.
So I have a lot of clients that have things on their skin like psoriasis on their scalp, like
Mm-hmm.
psoriasis or um patches of dead skin, that will come off in the hair
Mm-hmm.
when you shampoo it. Um,
Okay.
so I had a client, and I will send it to you, to start using a product that was really working on her. Like she went from having so much dandruff and dead skin to her hair was squeaky clean. Now
Okay.
she said she went back to eating steak and olive oil, which are two things on the list that she was not supposed to be eating. And it 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 came back. So she just left. and
Okay.
um and it was back. So it wasn't as bad as it was at first, but it was bad. So
Okay.
I
Okay.
think I need a herb to heal the scalp of whatever conditions um are attached to scalp.
Okay. Very good. I'm glad that you shared that. And I'm going to go to the ATM method as well. And here's something that you may very well be able to incorporate into your business. And I know that you're um, increasing your knowledge and your application about wellness. Here's something that probably very few, if any, cosmetologists are doing. And that is one, having a real assessment of the client. Okay. And that doesn't just mean looking at, and again, I don't know the procedure or protocol. That's I've got a sister who's cosmetologist and been doing hair for over 40 years. That's her expertise. So I can't say all of what you do personally or all of what you've been trained to do in terms of detecting these conditions, etc. But I would say this is that probably very few, if any, are looking at diet, looking at the medication, and having people really fill out a more complete form uh, in regards to their health. So one, they can assess better. Two, see where there's correlation between diet, the work, products that may be used, and other methods in order to address skin, scalp conditions, and these things well. Because you want to know, is it medicate? Is it their diet? Is it medication? Is it something they're exposed to? Are they, or is it the products that they're using that that are not healthy? Because there's a lot of stuff in these hair care products.
There definitely is.
Yeah. Is it this whatever the hair products that are being used that aren't healthy? Through my sister and others, I hear about these hair products that come from other places, and they have certain conditions. People getting all kinds of problems because the hair product is contaminated. Okay, so I would So at the foundation of that, it would be to do an assessment and then look at making recommendations. And if you were known for that or had that as let's say a specialty or a subspecialty, that would be very helpful. In the story about Madam C.J. Walker, in that film Self-Made, what they did share was the fact that she had developed some products. Now they'll say she took it from somebody else, whatever, if it evolved or innovated, whatever. I can't say about the backstory on that and what is fiction and what is, what was contrived. But there were two things that came up in there. I mean, so one, knowing some background, the problem that she was having with her hair was not just due to not having the right product. It was also due to nutrition. Okay. And the hair, the skin, the nails are reflective of the nutrients in our body's ability to uptake, utilize nutrition as well. If nutrition is out of balance, then what does the body sacrifice? The hair, the skin, the nails. Okay. Because those things are not essential. Okay. And if they're in certain products, taken the in from the environment or from some of the medications, will affect the skin as well. So again, if you're doing some assessments, one of the things that will happen is you'll start seeing some of the patterns. You said that this woman was not supposed to eat steak and oil or something like that. Steak and Is that what you said? I can't hear you. But you said she
She
wasn't.
had been practicing just being like a pescatarian,
Okay.
eating only really fish. And so her hair was doing really good. And
Okay.
then she said, well, the last week that I had I skipped a week coming in because she comes in once a week. And she
Okay.
said she skipped a week. And she also that last week had steak every day, just about. She said she got a hold to some steak and went
Mm,
crazy with it. And she had
right.
olive oil, and
Yeah.
her scalp condition came back with a vengeance.
Okay. Okay. So that's
Where are you gonna
helpful.
go?
That's helpful to know. So
Go down
one,
Orchard Lake.
yeah. So one is the assessment portion, and then two, more as a professional, then it's like the treatment. What's the recommendation?
Mhm.
Now, a couple things will happen as well, and I'm saying this for everybody. Is that oftentimes if they'll do a food diary, if they will write down what they do from day to day, that's typically revealing. One, for them, so they can see, because she had to come to somewhere and say, you know what, I wasn't eating any steak, and then whatever. The food store had a sale on steak, or somebody brought it by. She got tempted. It was a holiday, or she went out for celebration or something, and did something different. So when people write the things down, many times something will pop up. If they did something different, they could have made it. They could have created the problem that they're seeing. So that's the first awareness. And then the other is that the more you do this, the more patterns that you'll see. You'll see, oh, clients that have taken a particular kind of medication, or that are diabetic, or they have taken high blood pressure medication, or, whatever.
Anything that has to do with the blood always thins the client's hair out.
Okay. Well, you said anything that has to do with the blood.
Yeah, like
I mean,
if they have a blood issue, it
yeah.
it thins the hair out.
And then typically, whatever medication a person is taking is going to affect the blood as well.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So again, so when you see these things, and so then again, is they have the awareness. If they have the awareness it's much easier for them to make a change and to be consistent with that. Medical doctors, holistic practitioners, and everybody will say, one of the biggest problems that we have with anybody getting better is they either don't start or they're not compliant. They don't do what's recommended for them. And so if that happens, it's harder to get results. And it's easy for someone to say, oh, I was taking such and such that you recommended and that didn't work. Okay. So was it that the recommendation was not on point, or did they not do it as recommended? I can't tell you how many people, even when I've had something, put something in writing, have done it their own way. Okay, you take this and then this and then this. You can mix these two things. And it's like, and they mix something else or put something else in. Well, I just did it like this. I just thought, it's like you're just making up your own thing. Okay. You're not doing it according to how it's supposed to go. I'll say, whatever, it could be castor oil pack. Do the castor oil, put it on for an hour a day, 5 out of 7 days. Okay. Put the heating pad on medium and put the heating pad on high and leave it on all night and wonder how come they've got welts in the morning. Okay. I said an hour a day. Okay. It's not that if it's a little bit is good, a lot is better. It's not that I don't want you to, to heal as quickly as possible. Here's the recommendation. Here's the intervals. If it says once a day or twice a day or whatever, if you're going to increase it, decrease it, or whatever, there should be some justification for that. Okay. So consistent application, yes, consistent results. People need to be compliant, but they also need to get results, have trust, and a bit of understanding about the process as well. Okay. So again, you look at the ATM method, and I'm going to share that with everybody because it's not just with a holistic methodology. That's life anyway. Assessment, assess the situation. If there is not an assessment or a thorough assessment aspect, incorporate one. And fortunately, with technology and AI, we can create that. You can go in and you can do a query or something that says, I've got whatever clients that have certain conditions, or I want to be able to do a more thorough assessment for my clients so that for example, they can be on a program. You'll find that people will be more consistent, will cancel less, they'll be more consistent and more compliant if they're on a program or protocol and they're getting results. Okay, so that's the assessment portion. And then it's the treatment. What are we going to do? Like you say, that person is a weekly person. Okay, we're going to see you. We're going to do your hair every week. What are we going to do? How are we going to do it? What's going to be different? And what are you doing different than somebody else who does not have the same understanding as you do? Assessment, treatment, maintenance. Maintenance means consistency. Okay, so it's not just, okay, well, I had this condition and it went away, and then you stopped doing whatever you were doing. Some things you do need to have long-term. Some things you need to do, it could be forevermore. Okay. Person has an allergic reaction to certain things. Sometimes they never need to have that again. They'll need to just take some Lactaid if they're lactose intolerant. They need to leave the dairy alone altogether and find something else they can utilize. And then what are we monitoring? What are we measuring? So we're getting result again over a period of time. And again, when they write these things down, then one, is more real. Okay. Two, if they get off program and then it's 3 months, 6 months, a year down the road, if they look back on those notes, it's going to remind me, Oh yeah, last year this time I was doing X, Y, and Z. Okay. Maybe that's why whatever it is came back. All right. Okay. So here it is. It's 2 after, which is time for our 10-minute break. And then we'll be back on the other side. I'm going to take your questions, your feedback. It's an ask Aisha and Tremaine for some feedback there as well. And so it's 12 after, we'll be back in and on.